Welcome to our Builder Innovator Summit presenter spotlights. In this series, we're highlighting the presenters confirmed for our upcoming event in Orlando, giving you a glimpse of what to expect and the industry leaders that you'll be able to hear from. Today, we're excited to introduce to some, but present to others, our Digital Solutions Track Chair, Melissa Morman, the principal of Built 4F. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank
Of
you.
course. So can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how Built 4F helps builders stand out in this competitive market?
Well, I will tell you, I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and it's always been around digital transformation. So helping home builders and helping service providers that want to come into the industry really understand what digital transformation is all about, what are the consumer and the tech trends. But as you can imagine, that job has shifted every month for the last 25 years because the trends are constantly evolving and changing. So, today, what's kind of fun, I'm not attached to BDX, which was just a really great ride for over 22 years, where we were really doing that mission. Now, what's kind of fun is I get to work with builders, other solution providers, and really kind of go out there and explore. And it really is still the same mission, helping builders, make that leap, whether we're working with builders directly or the providers that bring the solutions or just studying the trends.
Speaking of trends, from your perspective, what's the biggest opportunity or threat that builders face right now in our home building industry?
Well, I like the way you said that. It's opportunity and or threat. So just about every trend we're experiencing could be a threat, but also could be an opportunity. And we're fresh off the Consumer Electronics Show, which we go to every year as media. And what's interesting to me is we talk about artificial intelligence, and we've been talking about it for many, 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 many years. But this year, when it wasn't a separate category of like, oh, AI is over in the corner. AI is in everything, in every product, every offering, every facet of our lives. And we've transitioned from talking about it kind of in theory and like, oh, it's interesting and look what it could do, to now what people are doing with it. And so I think AI is in everything. And I think as a builder, there are tremendous opportunities for labor savings, getting to market faster, just making our people's jobs easier, getting more done with less, all these really great opportunities, which if a builder doesn't adopt them, you may not be competitive because other companies are. And the other piece to be really cognizant of is our consumers are immersed in AI and they expect kind of the services and the offerings that come with AI, even if they don't know that AI is powering it. So I think tremendous opportunity, but could be a challenge if you don't actually jump in and swim in it. And at the same time, there are real items that you need to be aware of, right? Like you can't just turn your entire business over to AI and hope for the best, right? Like there have been some tremendous disasters out there that we all have heard about. So it has to be managed and it has to be tested. It has to be piloted. And nobody can do that for you. So a lot of, when we talk about, the summit coming up in the spring, we'll be talking about AI through all of our different sessions. So you can learn some lessons and you can kind of get a sense for where the industry is. And at some point, you just got to dive in, but don't bet the farm. I think that's one of the biggest trends that is really out there.
Yeah, and I think another big thing is that builders are, I'm assuming builders are having issues adopting AI into their practices and their applications because AI can be a scary thing. We're learning more about it each day. It's learning about itself. So what are some things that builders can do to kind of build trust in AI or just feel a little bit more comfortable using it and trusting their businesses with it?
I think, one, as we look at AI adoption in our industry, sales and marketing has probably been the most aggressive and the most on the leading forefront of utilizing it. And what I see, they're utilizing it smartly, right? So they're utilizing it as a tool and an aid. And I personally use it as a tool and an aid, right? You
Mm-hmm.
sit down to do an outline of a presentation or something and you're stuck, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you can plug into, an AI machine and outspits an outline, whether you like it or not or use it. It gets you moving, right? So sales and marketing has certainly been kind of more on the forefront, but it impacts architecture and design. It impacts construction. It impacts the customer experience along the way, kind of post sale. So it really impacts all the different facets. And I don't see some of those other pieces, including construction, I don't see those pieces adopting quite as quickly. So I think it's really about kind of studying what's available and really networking and talking to those people who've gone before you,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you want to come to the Builder Innovator Summit. Just a little plug there. You really want to kind of learn from those lessons about what worked and what didn't work. And then I think you want to really assess, and I'll be sharing some guiding principles in the spring about when to use AI and when not to use AI, right? And how do you engage? And again, this, bet the farm, I'm going to fire all my people and I'm going to hire all these AI agents and hope for the best, obviously is not a good solution. So I think it's really about that. And I think the other fear that some people have is this going to replace my job, right?
It's a
is
big,
am I being replaced?
yeah.
And we're not actually seeing that. We're actually seeing more jobs being created because of AI. And what I love is a lot of Gen Zers out there have adopted, pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't try to hide that they're using AI. It just enables them to go faster and do more, which as
Yeah.
employers, that's pretty exciting. But there are a lot of ethical issues out there. There's some legal issues out there. A lot of them are being litigated in 2025. So we'll see, what comes of those. But I think a lot of it just comes down to good common sense and business sense.
Okay, well, at the Builder Innovator Summit, you will be moderating 5 sessions, ranging in topics within the digital solutions track from advanced buyer solutions all the way to visualization and interactivity solutions that providers can provide. So, with those things, within the next 5 to 10 years, what are some tools that you will be speaking about in your sessions that can help builders prep for the upcoming, obviously, trends, but also challenges within our industry within the next 5 to 10 years? What will you be discussing in your sessions that will equip builders with the tools to succeed?
Yeah, and I hate that we only have 5 sessions because we have enough content for like 20 sessions,
Right.
but we can't be there for a month, so we have narrowed it down to 5. And in each of those areas, I would say less. While we have some amazing tools that we'll be presenting, it's really the concepts, if you will,
Mhm.
that are shifting. And we're going to start off with attracting, which is how do you attract digitally and online prospects? Because if you don't have prospects, you definitely won't have sales.
Right.
But that has shifted, right? So we've got kind of an interesting lineup of speakers to talk about how the world of search has shifted. For the
Mhm.
first time in 2024, there were less than 50% of Google searches to find information. So we're kind of all used to Google search, but that is really shifting with AI and some other interesting trends out there. And then, obviously, we're going to talk about when you attract someone, you better have something pretty compelling for them when they land on your website
In there,
or see
yeah.
you in person.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're not going to woo them. So
Right.
that's always an important topic. But I think the twist is how do you do it more efficiently and effectively, right?
Yeah.
And how do we make sure we have the most amazing content? And there's some cool tools out there that allow us to do that, pretty affordably. And then my favorite topic is reputation management because while we have our website, we have all our content, we have our story, we have our pitch, what's really happening over there on the side is that prospect is checking out your reputation. They're looking at every review ever written about you. More importantly, they're looking at how you responded because they know there's going to be some issues.
Yeah.
But if you are not managing that, and there's a way to manage that, what they find may not be representative of the great brand that you are. So that is just increasingly becoming more important, especially as we've just lost control of the consumer and how they're going to search and how they're going to find us. We don't control that dialogue anymore. So super important. And then there's one that I'm, near and dear to my heart, which is customer experience. We tend to think that once we get the contract, they're sold. Guess what? No, you still have like 9 out of 10 steps to go to make sure that they actually hang in with you and there's revenue at the end of the deal and you close. Mm-hmm. So there's some amazing tools popping up out there on the customer experience and understanding that journey. And then the last one I really like because I think it ties it all together. And that is, you can pick what you're going to do. You can decide what you're going to do, but how you do it can make or break, right? So how do you implement, how do you manage through change management so that the organization is in step? How do you not just layer on yet another tool or another process, but you actually streamline? So we've got some amazing builders and providers talking about, okay, we just talked about all this cool stuff, but the how of how we bring that all together, because that's where sometimes we can kind of stumble. And the cool part about Builder Innovator is you can listen to other builders and you can hear about their successes and their stumbles, right? So it's not all just puppies and flowers and happy. It's some real lessons learned from builders who have gone before you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out because that's something we try to do in each of our sessions. We try to have a builder's voice represented on the stage, just so that the builders who are in the audience feel something that they can connect with. They hear like reasons that things haven't worked in the past, or just from the builder's experience and perspective. So I think that's super amazing, and you weren't lying when you said that these are enough topics and enough content to put into 20 sessions. So it's crazy that we have tried to condense it all to 5.
Well, yes. Well, and I think one thing that people may not realize about Builder Innovator is what you see is the tip of the iceberg. What you experience is a few days in the fall and a few days in the spring. And what I think is missed is there's a constant effort and learning throughout the year on the Builder Innovator team. And I kind of consider myself part of the team. But I love it when you get a John Galante email that says, hey, what about X, right? Or what do you think about, or I put together this, white paper or this PowerPoint. So this ideating is happening throughout the year. Mm-hmm. It's not just we all show up and it's showtime and, whatever. This is really some deep thought and reflection to curate the best of the best, because as a builder, you have a day job, right? You have more than a day job, and you can't spend all your time immersing yourself in this learning. And I think Builder Innovator kind of curates it for you and does that learning. And at the same time, actually isn't just a weather report saying, well, here's where we are as an industry, here's what we're doing. Actually trying to push and really help lead that digital transformation. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
So I want to know, this is your 3rd time being a track chair at our event, but you've attended countless times before that. I want to know what keeps you coming back year after year, season after season.
I think it's the karaoke. It just, nobody ever asked me to sing, and there we are, and the infamous pub crawl, all of that. I think for me, it is such a great platform and forum to help builders in this digital transformation, and that's what I'm really passionate about. Mm-hmm. And it's an easy way for builders to digest and move their businesses forward. So I like it. And of course, I love going to CES. That's amazing and great and overwhelming. And I love going to IBS and I speak there too. And that's really great and overwhelming. But it's kind of hard because you show up and there's a million exhibitors and there's a million talks. And, you know, you've got to kind of navigate for yourself. And I encourage everyone to do that. It is worthwhile. What I love about Builder Innovator is it kind of distills it down and says, well, these are the hot topics. Here are some of the latest and greatest tools and opportunities. And here are real, actual builders telling you the scoop. And they aren't always positive. I mean, they're real, right?
Yeah.
They're going to lay on land. In fact, you can just tell in our tracks when we get to the builder voice, everybody, is okay. And they were paying attention before, but like really paying attention. So for me, it's just a great couple times a year to really check in on what's happening, what's going on, and stay connected.
Awesome. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your insights and giving us a closer look at the value that you bring to our event and the industry as a whole. We're looking forward to hearing more from you at the Builder Innovator Summit in Orlando. And for our audience, stay tuned for more presenter interviews. Thank you so much.
Thank you.